Good day. My name is Jerry Choronis. My course is Bachelor of Science in Office Administration. Today I'm gonna make a video presentation with regards to my subject, reading in Philippine history. Given by my professor, Prof. Alan D. Balangon. And so, as usual, this video has consists of 6 parts, namely introduction, explanation of my subject, discussion of example points, conclusion, and the bibliography. So, okay, we're gonna discuss again. We'll proceed to the introduction of the subject. So this topic is I get specific of the reading in Philippine history since reading in Philippine history is a very broad topic, and it has a different account to study. So I'm decided to pick one account to study. So okay, so I'm gonna study the account of the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. Kung ano yun, yan ang ating itatalakayin sa video presentation na to. So, in the study of Philippine history, the 1872 Cavite Mutiny, also known as the Mutiny de Cavite in Spanish, and pag-aaklas sa Cavite in Filipino, stand as a pivotal event. While the mutiny itself was a relatively small-scale uprising of Filipino military personnel and laborers at Fort Santiago, Philippine in Cavite. So, this Cavite Mutiny, specifically in 1872 Cavite Mutiny, it is a rising Filipino military personnel and laborers at Fort Santiago in Cavite. Its impact on the development of Filipino nationalism and eventual Philippine Revolution was profound. The event is shrouded in different accounts. It's offering a unique perspective on the causes, motivations, and consequence of the mutiny. So this Cavite 1872 Cavite Mutiny, it has a different accounts to study. There is a Filipino accounts, Spanish accounts, and also the General Izquierdo, who is the Governor General at that time. Okay. This summary aims to explore the various interpretations highlighting the Spanish colonial narrative and perspective of Filipino historian, and the role key figures like Governor General Rafael Izquierdo and executed priest known as Gomburza. So why I choose this account? Because this account is very significant and it is connected to the Rizal subject. Why? It is because of the execution of the Gomburza. It is the way why Rizal chose to become a writer rather than to being a priest. Okay, when Rizal was a kid, he have an ambition to become a priest. However, when the Gomburza was executed and he saw himself in front of his eyes, he decided to become a writer. So, yan. So, yun yung ating introduction. So, let's proceed to the overview. The mutiny, which occurred on January 20, 1872, was sparked by the removal of certain privileges enjoyed by workers at the Cavite Arsenal, including the exemption from the taxes and forced labor. The mutiny was quickly suppressed by the Spanish forces, but event was used the Spanish authorities to crack down Filipino descent and solidify their control over the Philippines. Okay, so um, noong January 20, 1872, was nagkaroon ng Cavite Mutiny, 1872 Cavite Mutiny. So, ang dahilan nito ay yung pagtanggal nila ng privileges o pribilehiyo na makukuha ng isang mga Pilipinong sundalo, let's say, sa Pilipinong manggagawa. So, tinanggalan nila yon. When General Rafael Izquierdo was become a Governor General at that time, he was known as a iron fist hand. So, siya yung tinatawag nating kamay na bakal. So, he didn't want, he really, talagang matapang at wala siyang awa. Kung talagang gugustuhin niya. So, yun yung pag-aaral natin. That's the overview. Okay. So, let's proceed to the number 3. Explain your subject. Okay. Cavite Mutiny was a complex event with multiple contributing factors. The removal of privileges for the workers at Fort Santiago at San Felipe was the immediate trigger, but deeper against the Spanish colonial rule played a significant role. These grievances included grievances included. So, yung mga dahilan na to is, number 1 is the economic exploitation. Filipino face harsh economic conditions under Spanish rule, including high taxes, forced labor, and limited opportunities for the advancement. So, ang dahilan kasi dito, yun na, economic exploitation. Since katay nga mga Pilipino ng mga panahon na yun is they treated us like as slaves, and they include high tax. Nagbabayad tayo ng sobrang taas ng tax sa kanila. Meron din tayong forced labor, di ba? Yung tinatawag nating polo is serbisyo, kung saan yung nag-iedad ng 16 hanggang 60 years old is you have to work. Tulad ng mga paggawa ng kalsada, simbahan, na sobrang delikado talaga. Na kung madisgrasya ka man, wala silang pakay, di ba? And also, this include a tribute. So, nagbabayad din tayo ng tribute, okay? A tax levied on Filipino males regardless of their incomes and social status. Yung mga kalalakihan dati, nagbabayad ng tax yan. Wala silang pakialam kung ano yung regardless yung income or social status mo. Mapayaman ka, mahirap magbabayad ka ng tax. So, yun yung polo servisyo. Kailangan mo mag-render ng services to the Spanish government. 40 days yun sa kada taon, diba? 40 days, almost. Mahigit isang buwan ka nang tatrabaho without any salary. You get from the Spanish government nung mga panahon na yun, diba? So, isa sa mga talaga. Kumbaga sa atin yun, red flag yan. Buti na lang tayo. Kaso, wala, ganun pa rin eh. Narelate pa rin ako ngayong mga panahon na yun na wala eh. Yung mga sahod pa rin, barat pa rin eh. Dahil nga sa pagkakaroon ng tawag dito, Manila rate saka provincial rate. Talagang lugi eh. Pareho lang din naman ang services ng Manila to sa probinsya. Pero ang ginigit nila is talagang mura daw bilihin. Ganun nga. In fact, when you purchase a services sa probinsya is almost the same lang din naman sa Maynila. So, 'di ba? Kung mayroon mang mura, siguro sa pagkain kasi nga natatanim mo. Pero yun yung nangyari. But then, siguro namamana lang din naman kasi natin kasi nga sinakop tayo. So, kung ano man yung naranasan ng mga Pilipino dati is eventually siguro naranasan natin ngayon. Pero less na yung natin. May mga karapatan na tayo. Proceed to the social inequality. Filipinos were treated as second-class citizens in their own land, denied equal rights and opportunities compared to the Spaniards. So, yun nga, noong mga panahon na yun, yung social inequality, Filipinos treated as second-class citizens. So, treated as injust, di ba? Injust. parang wala tayong karapatan at oportunidad sa sarili nating lupa nung mga panahon na sinakop tayo ng mga Espanyol. So that's why kaya nga nagkaroon ng ng pag-aaklas na nung mga panahon na yon, 'di ba? Nag-aaklas na yun nung 1872. That's why siguro di na tama na realize na ng mga Filipino military and laborers na hindi na to tama na tinatrato ng talagang hindi maganda yung trato nila sa mga Pilipino ng mga panahon na yun. And also the religious suppression. Okay. The Spanish government and the friars who held significant powers suppress Filipino religious practice and promote Catholicism, 'di ba? May mga panahon pa nga yung nung panahon ng mga Spain na mas although I discussed this on the Rizal subject presentation, that Spanish friars is there is a time that they are more powerful than the local government. That's why nga 'di ba, mas hinihingi pa yung nila opinion. As may mga time na nga yung takot pa nga yung iba, yung mga Guardia Civil sumusunod pa nga sa kanila, hindi yung mga local governments pa nga mas takot pa takot pa sa kanila eh. So yun yung talaga pinakamalaking mali nung mga panahon na yun na hindi naghiwalay yung state tsaka yung simbahan, na dapat hiwalay naman talaga. Yan. Kaya nga nagkaroon ng kaya lumaya yung mga nasasakupan nila ng mga Espanyol kasi nga yung pamamalakad nila is hindi talaga tama. Okay, let's proceed to the discussion na example points. The mutiny itself was already a small-scale event involving around 200 soldiers and laborers. However, it was quickly perceived that threat by the Spanish authorities who created a wider uprising. However, it was quickly perceived that threat by the Spanish authorities who feared a wider uprising. Governor General Rafael Izquierdo, the Spanish governor at that time, responded with a brutal crackdown. Many mutineers was executed and others were deprivations or exiled. So, handa na yung tao ng Cavite tsaka yung tao ng Manila. Dapat magkikita sila na gaganapin nila yung Cavite mutiny nung gabi na yon. Na ang hudyat nila para masimulan nila yung Cavite mutiny na yun is yung pag sindi ng fireworks. However, misunderstood nila doon sa sign na okay, tara, atake na kasi nag-fire na ng fireworks. Pero hindi nila alam na yung fireworks na yon is galing sa fiesta. So nangyari, hindi alam ng Manila na nagsimula na sila. So nagkaroon sila ng miscommunication. So dahil doon sa fireworks na yon, yun yung hudyat nila para simulan yung Cavite Mutiny. Nung nagkaroon na sila misunderstood, so since Cavite lang yung lumalaban doon sa may Port Santiago, nagkaroon kaya nangyari na outdraft sila or kulang sila sa tao and eventually na-resist ng soldiers yung pagsalakay nila, and eventually hinuhuli sila lahat sa pinaguhuli sila at pinakulong yung iba. Yung iba naman is yung pinatawa ng kamatayan. And one of the most significant consequences of the mutiny was the execution of 3 secular priests. Okay. Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, collectively known as Gomburza. These priests were falsely accused of being involved in the mutiny and were executed Garote on February 17, 1872. Their deaths sparked widespread outrage and become a symbol of Filipino resistance against Spanish oppression. So, yun nga, since napatigil nga ng Spanish government yung pagsalakay dun sa Cavite Arsenal. Kasi nga ang dahilan is kulang din sila sa tao kasi hindi nakarating na sa Manila. So wala na, nahuli na sila. So ngayon, ang ano nila, ang tinuturo nilang mastermind dun sa Cavite Mutiny is yung tatlong paring martir, yung tatlong paring yung mga tatlong priest, namely Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora. So yung tatlong pare na to is napagbintangan sila, and eventually pinatawan sila ng parusang kamatayan. Yang parusa na yun is yung garote. Ang garote po ay hindi garote literal na pinapalo. Ito yung garote na kung saan merong bakal dito na nilalagay sa leeg habang hinihigpitan at tinatakpan yung ulo nila. So nung ini-execute sila inong araw na yon, yung tatlong pari na yon, nakita yun ni Dr. Jose Rizal. And Dr. Jose Rizal was 11 years old at that time. So bata pa talaga siya. Along with his brother, si Pasiano. So yun nga, tiningnan nila, nalungkot talaga sila kasi nga si Burgos ay isang teacher ni Pasiano, and naging kaibigan din ni Pasiano nung mga panahon na yun. Nalungkot talaga siya na napatawa ng kamatayan si Jose Burgos at yung tatlong pari pa na yung tatlong paring martir. And yun nga, in-execute sila in public para ang gusto nila na iparating ng government na sumunod tayo sa kanila at matakot tayo sa kanila. So, and Rizal dedicated his novel El Filibusterismo to the memory of the three priests. So, yun nga, nakwento na ko na rin kanina sa overview na why Rizal chose to become a writer rather than to become a priest. Kasi nga, dapat pangarap talaga niya magiging pare. But eventually, dahil sa kasamaan ng mga Spanish government na nagpumataw sa kanila ng kamatayan through garote, and he changed his mind to become a writer. And eventually, nung natapos na sa University of Santo Tomas, and then pumunta na siya, tahimik siyang pumunta sa ibang bansa, nag-aral, at nagsulat siya ng 2 novels niya which is criticize the injustices ng Spanish government at saka yung mga Spanish friars ng mga panahon na yun. And isa nga dun is yung El Filibusterismo, to the memory of the three priests. Sinulat talaga niya para dun sa tatlong pari na yun. Okay. So we will proceed to the different account of this Cavite Mutiny. Proceed to the Spanish account first. Kung ano ba yung sinasabi nila, why bakit nagkaroon ng ganong pangyayari, or yung bakit nagkaroon ng 1872 Cavite Mutiny or pag-aalsa or revolt through against the Spanish government. So Jose Montero y Vidal was a Spanish historian. So yung Spanish historian na to, sinasabi niya, interpreted that the mutiny was an attempt to remove and overthrow the Spanish colonizer in the Philippines. His accounts collaborated with the account of Governor General Rafael Izquierdo, the Governor General of the Philippines at the time of the mutiny. Both mentioned that the mutiny was powered by a group of native clergy. So sinasabi nito na sinasabi niyo si Montero y Vidal, or Spanish historian, na kung bakit nagkaroon doon ng 1872 Cavite Mutiny is to attempt to remove and overthrow the Spanish government in the Spanish colonizer in the Philippines. So yun yung sinasabi niya, gusto nila. So yun yung sinasabi ng Spanish account of nung mutiny. So dito naman account ni General Izquierdo. So sinasabi dito ni General Izquierdo, Governor General Izquierdo insisted. So ito yung account naman niya, di ba? So kung si Jose Montero y Vidal, yung Spanish historian, ito naman yung account ni General Izquierdo. So, ito yung account niya, ito yung sinasabi niya. Governor General Izquierdo insisted that the mutiny was stimulated and prepared by the native clergy, mestizos and lawyers as a signal of objection against the injustices of the government, such as not paying provinces of tobacco, crops and free tributes, and rendering forced labor. It is not clearly identified if the natives plan or to inaugurate a monarchy or the republic because they do not have a word in their own language to describe the different form of government whose leader Filipino would call Pinuno. However, it turned out that they would set a supreme of the government in a priest that the leader selected would be Jose Burgos and Jacinto Zamora, which was the plan to rebels who guided them and the means by the accounted upon his realization. So, ang sinasabi kasi dito ni General Rafael Izquierdo, who was the Governor General at the time, na plano daw ng mga mestizos and lawyers as objection of justice para daw gawin tatlo kasi balak daw talaga nila maging leader o supreme leader o magkaroon ng isang gobyerno at sila yung magiging leader. So ito naman yung Filipino accounts. So yung Filipino accounts written by Trinidad Pardo de Tavera. So the event was just sinasabi naman ni Trinidad Pardo de Tavera. The event was just a simple mutiny since at that time the Filipinos have no intention of separation from sin but only secured materials and education advancement in the country. So nung panahon na yun talaga, wala naman talagang balak na humiwala yung mga Pilipino sa Spanish since ang gusto lang naman nila ay ma-secure yung materials nila, yung mga gamit nila and then yung education advancement nila kasi nga parang yung mga pag-aral lang doon is yung mga yung mga Spanish lang paano naman yung mga Pilipino, 'di ba? So gusto din naman nilang gusto din nila, parang hinihingi lang din nila yung karapatan nila. Bakit naman sila walang karapatan na pag-aral or maturuan na nandito naman sila sa sarili nilang lupa? Amit din naman natin. So, okay, let's proceed to the conclusion. Okay. 1872, Cavite Mutiny, while the unsuccessful in achieving its immediate goals, played a crucial role in the development of Filipino nationalism. So, kahit hindi man siya naging successful, but it developed the Filipino nationalism. So, I believe I discussed this, the Rizal topic, nationalism. So nationalism is different to the patriotism. Nationalism is the love strong for a country because you know that Philippines is greater than others. That's the nationalism. So yun. It exposed the deep-seated grievances against Spanish rule, particularly the exploitative policies like the tribute and police servicio and serve as a catalyst for the rise of the propaganda movement. So nang dahil nga dun sa mga pagbabayad natin ng mga tribute, diba? Yung mga puloy serbisyo, so nagkakaroon na ng mga propaganda movement, diba? Karoon man yung alam naman natin na si Rizal, Dr. Rizal, meron din siyang isang diba? Propaganda movement, yung isang La Liga Pilipina na ang layunin is reforma sa Spanish government. Yan. A reform moved south greater autonomy of Filipinos. The mutiny, its aftermath is inspired the future generation of Filipino revolutionaries, ultimately leading to the Philippine Revolution in 1896, diba? Since nagkaroon tayo ng Cavite Mutiny, imagine mo from 1872 Cavite Mutiny hanggang sa nagkaroon tayo ng hanggang sa nakita niyo si Rizal, maliit siya, nag-aral siya. Nung nag-aral sa graduate siya, nag-aral sa ibang bansa, nagsulat siya ng 2 novels and eventually nabasa ito ng mga Pilipino at nagkaroon ng katipunan. Ayun, yung nabasa na ni Andres Bonifacio yung 2 novels ni Dr. Jose Rizal, nagkaroon siya ng ini-idolize siya And then, nung nagkaroon ng Philippine Independence, di ba? So, wala tayong 1896 Philippine Revolution or 1898 Philippine Revolution kung walang 1874. Kasi kung hindi nangyari yon, hindi nasaksihan ni Jose Rizal yung pangyari na yon na ni-execute in public yung tatlong paring martir, baka wala tayong ano, kasi baka nagpare na rin si Dr. Jose Rizal nun, and he is not a writer, diba? So let's proceed to the bibliography. So I got this the information with the wikipedia.org, or specifically the Cavite Mutiny.